I shared a couple of images out on Twitter, and one of these tweets went semi-viral, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them were USC fans. But it got 73,000 views, and I'll share the picture that I shared, and all I said post-game was explain this. That's what I captioned this picture. Here's the picture. Now, what's funny is I posted this picture and I said, explain this. I was just saying, explain it. Just explain it. I'm telling you right now, we can watch the video footage directly from Fox if you'd like.
That's how I saw it.
But his foot is down, okay?
Yes.
His foot is down in bounds. Now, I want to make sure I don't sound like a homer. His foot's down. However, what USC fans kept doing was they continued to show the next frame. And I'll tell you what, I'll just go ahead and share that as well so people know what I'm talking about. Because the very next frame, and this is a different angle, but you can clearly tell through this frame that he is out of bounds. Okay? He's out of bounds here. I don't want to hear about angles. He's out of bounds.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So this is the next frame, right? So if you watch it in full speed and try to slow it down a little bit, you see that, yeah, his foot comes down in bounds, as I showed in the first image, but it slides out. The toe slides. So just that motion, it's so close to the sideline in the first place that it doesn't stay out of bounds, and it just slides enough so that now his toe's over the line and he's out of bounds. I believe it was the right call to call it out of bounds. And I'll say that because based on the language of the rule,
okay,
the continuous motion of the foot the foot has to completely stay in bounds. If a guy taps his toe and then lifts the foot, my understanding of the rule is that's a legal catch, of course. That's a toe tap. But if a guy's toe comes down and then it slides out, similar to what happened with Kamari Moulton last week with that 2-point conversion against Oregon, his heels go in the back of the end zone. It's kind of an awkward looking catch. His heels are in, but then his foot comes down out of bounds. So the entire foot in that one step or motion has to remain in bounds. And so that's, I think, where the confusion
I got you.
lies. And I think if it was called a catch on the field, they would have had to remain a catch. It's gut-wrenching, it's mind-blowing, it's unbelievable. It's just because it's been over and over. This stuff has just been all year, Mark. And I'm not saying it's like, some people say, football gods are, come on. No. I really, it's just sometimes the ball falls a certain way, bounces a certain way, and that's what it's been. I mean, I go back to second week of the season at Iowa State, and Iowa has a huge third down. They're up late against Iowa State. They have a third down opportunity to stop Rocco Becht and Iowa State. They deflect a pass in the air, which just somehow pirouettes down the field into the arms of Gabe Burkle, who leaps and makes this unbelievable catch for a first down to extend the drive. They eventually kick a game-winning field goal. Stuff like that. I mean, Saturday we had an interception that somehow you got, I think it was Jacob Gill and a defender almost on the ground, and the ball spirals in and the ball bounces straight back into a freshman defensive lineman's arms. I mean, straight back. You don't see stuff like that.
I had to watch the replay 2 or 3 times before I really gathered in what happened there, because when I watched it live, I'm like, where'd the ball go? What?
Yeah, it just happened to, it just bounced over. I couldn't tell if it was off the defender's hand or if it just hit like Gill's knee, but it just
bounced so far. I thought it must have hit like a knee or a shoe, but it looked like it just hit the back of his hand and it went like
it shot straight back
10 yards straight back.
That USC defender was looking downfield, so it just went right into his chest. I mean, again, it's just it's hard to explain this stuff. It truly is. And look, there were some bad missed calls. You probably remember, if you watched most of the game, the face mask call that was not made with Kamari Moulton. I mean, he got pulled completely around. It was a horror, and I don't want to show it. I actually had to cut that segment out of our live show because somehow they were going to demonetize me if I kept it in. It was a stupid little clip that apparently is worth a 3.5-hour YouTube show, but I digress. That was a horrible call, a horrible non-call. So actually, I might be able to share on my Twitter. Let me see if I can find this real quick, Mark, because we talk about a face mask. There's always missed calls. I'm not denying that, but at the same time, some are more egregious than others. This is Chris Hassel, actually, that formerly of ESPN, currently of CBS, that shared this either during the game or right after the game. So here's the face mask. I'm going to keep it this size just so we don't have any problems with Fox. Zoom in a little bit. So this is obviously slow motion, but look at him. He gets his face mask, pulls him all the way around. And as Chris Hassel points out here in the caption, instead of 1st and 10 at the USC 43, then they have to throw on 3rd and long, and it's picked. I mean, it's just...
Wait a minute. What was the down and distance after this play?
3rd and long.
Okay.
It was 3rd and long, and so then they had to throw, and it got picked that next play. As opposed to, it would have been 1st and 10 for Iowa with a face mask penalty at the USC 43.
At what point in the game is this? I watched every play of this game. I just don't recall this situation.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. I know there were 2 obvious face mask penalties that did not get called. Actually, you know what? I'm glad you asked. I have my 2 pages of notes from this past Saturday.
Are we talking about that was before the ricochet pick or another?
Oh, let me find this. I have it written down as toward the end of the 3rd quarter. Yeah. So it was actually the play before the deflected interception. It was the play before that stupid interception. Gronowski misses Weegan, the play prior, I believe it was, and then an obvious missed face mask on Moulton, and then the very next play was an interception off a deflection. I mean, you just can't draw the stuff up. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And
well, I'm glad you clarified the inbounds rule, but I just can't believe, with all the football that I watch, that I have not come across a situation in which the toe came down and the player's foot then landed out of bounds, and therefore it's out of bounds.
Well, I mean, that's okay. It's funny because I was arguing on both sides of this over the last 2 days, because I had one side saying you're a moron, or I had a bunch of USC fans when I posted that picture and I said, explain this. I had a bunch of USC fans say, it's AI, it's a fake photo. I took a screenshot. What do you want from me? It's a screenshot. I'm sorry. Okay. And then I had the other side, Hawkeye burner accounts that want to rip me and act like I don't understand the rule. I took a screenshot of AI, right? And AI, because AI explains a rule that may be hard to totally understand if you're not an official. Because I had some guy send me a screenshot of part of the rule book, which does not prove his point. But of course, these people, I'll just say people to be nice, that never have the guts to actually call in and discuss it. I told this guy, like you do with people, if you want to discuss it, I'll tell you how you're wrong if you call in, but you won't. You won't. Oh, I don't need to explain it. You're a moron. Fine. Then just leave me alone. But if you call in, I'll explain how you're wrong. So, yeah, that's my understanding of the call, because it happened the week prior with Moulton with the heels. The heels were in. But the foot slid and then his toes went down in bounds. Now, what's interesting about this is what I have not clarified, because that's my understanding of the rule, what I just said. But what I don't quite understand, and I tweeted this out on Saturday night as well, that if that indeed is the call, this is going to be interesting. This is a discussion you'll like. Then explain this. Explain this one. You know who this is.
Oh. Sure.
That's a screenshot of Omar Cooper's toe tap against Penn State. The toe comes down, the foot turns, and it appears that heel is on the sideline. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm just saying, if that's the rule.
Well, I don't know that his heel's on the sideline, though.
I don't know either, but I don't remember anybody. That's extremely close.
Yeah.
But I don't think my guess is the average fan you just admitted you didn't know this aspect of the rule, and I really didn't either. But the average fan would have just looked, okay, the toe initially came down, but the toe never left again. His foot turns, and then the heel lands, and I tell you, that's really close.
So all of these toe tap catches, these players are either doing one of two things. Either they're tapping and then they're just kind of like falling. They kind of just go limp and they just fall, or they lift their feet.
Yep. I think that's what happens normally. If you think about, and you think about, I don't say inertia, but you think about just the motion.
When your knees go down, your feet automatically, pop in the air.
Well, and two, a person's facing the sideline normally, right? They're not going to turn and have the heel go down. They're not, they're just trying to get that foot out. And then, like you said, they're falling out of bounds and the foot goes up. So the only part of their foot that actually touches the ground is that toe. If you could somehow rotate the foot during the course of the play and get that guy's heel to go down, it'd be incomplete, I guess.
Wow. I did not know that. I just kind of thought, well, it was called a certain way by the officials, and then it was difficult to overturn that, number one. Number two, I do see where it overlaps the white on the sideline, but it appeared as though he initially got he did initially get the toe and the side of the foot in bounds.
Yeah. And I just want to real quick explain something else. So I brought up the AI explanation, okay, which explains it very well and is in line with what I have seen in the rule book. Here's what some guy tried to expose me for not knowing the rule with, okay? This is posted on the original post that I shared following the game. So this is in reference to the NCAA rule book. But listen very carefully. So this is an example the NCAA gives. Eligible A80 is airborne near the sideline when he receives a legal forward pass. As he comes to the ground facing the field of play, his toe clearly A, drags the ground in bounds before he falls out of bounds. So A is a complete pass. But see, it doesn't say, it says he falls out of bounds. It does not say that he drags the foot in one motion out of bounds. It says that he dragged it in bounds and then falls out of bounds. Now, scenario B is the receiver touches the ground in bounds. His heel comes down on the sideline in a continuous motion. He maintains firm control of the ball in both cases, but B is an incomplete pass. The continuous toe heel touching is part of a single process, and by interpretation, he has landed out of bounds, thus not executing a catch. But again, this person who you don't know who these people are because they have this. I mean, this guy is a burner who's so obsessed with Brian Ferentz. Look at his profile picture. He trying to expose, I guess, my take or anybody that questions what. Like, I'm an Iowa guy. I'm not trying to imply that I don't want that catch to be a catch. I'm just saying by the rule, this doesn't prove anything. You see what I'm saying, Mark? Mm-hmm. Because what happened with Weegan does not fit the scenario for the criteria for scenario A. Scenario A, which is a complete pass, you drag it in bounds and then fall out of bounds. He dragged the ball in bounds, out of bounds in one motion. That's the point. It's just, but again, you can't, I'd love to be able to have this guy or anybody else that has a question about it, call in, we can discuss it, but nobody wants to discuss things anymore. We're all just about proving we're right. And, I'll just have the last, I'll have the last word. And then it's like, anyways, so go ahead.
Okay. So that's the obvious play that really changed the game. Most likely that would have set up Iowa where, like at the 5-yard line?
At the 8-yard line.
At the 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So who knows what would have happened? But obviously the game would have still been in play and they would have had an excellent shot to win the game. But we would have never known. We will never know.
And by the way, it was. I want to say real quick, I do think it was questionable play calling leading up to that. They had 1st and 10 in plus territory. I thought Tim Lester called a beautiful first half, but they're in plus territory and they run on 1st, run on 2nd, run on 3rd. On 3rd and 10, they run the ball, pick up about 5 yards. So obviously, he's treating that as 4-down territory. I get that. But 3 runs in a row, I mean, if they work, nobody cares, but they didn't. And so it is, in hindsight, like, wow, they didn't throw the ball until 4th down when they had to. And the other thing, I don't know the status of Kamari Moulton late in that game, but the first 2 runs were Jazz Patterson. The third run was Xavier Williams. Kamari was our player of the game. So to give your team, your offense, 3 straight runs on a critical series, and then none of the 3 went to your best back, yeah, I would question that.
Okay, so my next question to you, to see if you've uncovered this, because it was completely a mystery while watching on the Big Ten Network. So Iowa gives up the football, obviously, on the out-of-bounds catch by Weegan. USC gets the ball. There's about a minute 40 left in the game, something in that range. Correct?
Okay.
Something in that range.
Yeah, just about.
So USC probably needs a first down. Otherwise, I don't know what the timeout situation. Anyway, Iowa still had a slim chance of getting the ball back and throwing a Hail Mary or having 2 or 3 plays, whatever the case might be. By the view on the Big Ten Network, we had no idea what happened. And all of a sudden, Iowa had stopped USC, I believe, or it was about to be third down. And all of a sudden, there's a sideline conduct penalty, unsportsmanlike, on the coaching staff of Iowa. First down, USC, game's over.
No idea who it was. Kirk Ferentz just said after the game that apparently one of our assistants crossed the sideline of the field, and that was that end of the game.
What's wrong with these officials? What's wrong with them?
I didn't even complain about that because they should have never been in that position, but I know people were upset about that. But the thing is I really didn't know exactly what he did or whoever it was that did what, but it's just why in the game there? I mean, the Caden Weegan return, he returns it and they throw a flag for a late hit out of bounds. And then it was picked up. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Yeah, Weegan clearly got hit out of bounds. Now, it wasn't a big hit. It was a little push, right? He's out of bounds, clearly. He's like 3 steps out of bounds. And he gets hit. What's weird about it is, so they have the flag. They have the flag. And, yeah, here it is, 4th quarter. They have the flag. The referees get together for about, I don't know, 3 seconds. And the lead official comes out of the little huddle and says, there is no, after discussing amongst the officials or whatever, he said it was a legal hit. There is no flag for unnecessary roughness. What's interesting about what he said there, so it's one thing to pick up the flag. If you said, we pick up the flag, we don't believe it was a hit, fine. But when you say it was a legal hit or whatever the word was, you're admitting that there was a hit. But the implication of those words is that it was in the field of play. It was not in the field of play. It was clearly like 3 steps out of bounds. You admitted that it was a hit, okay? And if it's 3 steps out of bounds, it's a late flag. And you picked the flag up.
If it's the play that I recall, so I watched football all day. So I think this is the play that I recall. I thought that the USC player initiated the hit in bounds and kind of carried it out of bounds from what I recall.
No,
I didn't have an issue with that call.
Well, let's watch it then, shall we? Shall we
I want to get back
one?
to this end of game situation with the
go ahead.
I'll
try to find it. No, I'll try to find this as you go back into that.
So this is my issue with the officials because, again, based on the Big Ten Network's lack of production resources, I believe that if this game was on CBS, NBC, or Fox, that we would have seen what happened on the sideline. They just have more resources, more cameras. They basically miss nothing. And so they would have had a camera shooting the Iowa sideline and would have caught something, even if it would have been like in the corner of the screen or something. This is where I believe, unless there was something that was just so egregious, which I just can't imagine, but it's possible. This is where I believe these officials need to use discretion. Everyone wants the play on the field to decide the game as much as possible. Now, if there's something, again, that's egregiously wrong, that still needs to be called, you just don't let anything happen. But I think these officials need to approach the game early in the game and very much police the game and set the precedent and the standards for conduct. You see this a lot where they're throwing flags because of late hits or just scuffles or taunting and those things early in the game to let the players know, don't cross the line. This is what you're allowed to do. We'll allow this much, but don't push us. This is what we are going to call. And then if it's egregious late in the game, sure, you don't let it go. But I think that just the officials should I just can't imagine a situation that wasn't like violently argumentative. If he's just like 3 feet over the line, you're going to call that, you're going to end the game.
Well,
you're going to end the competitive balance of the game because a coach is like
I
couple
agree.
steps over a line.
I agree.
Seriously?
There may have been a sideline warning earlier in the game. That's my only thing, that I believe there may have been a sideline warning against Iowa earlier in the game. No, I agree. It's stupid. Now, I just want to show you real quick because, and I know you're, contrary to what a lot of college football fans think, you're not perfect. And I want you to just see this play from Caden Weegan.
Yeah.
And I want to make it very clear that he was absolutely out of bounds, and it was not but you can see where he goes out of bounds right there. He's out. He's out. Yeah. This defender's 5 yards away from him, Mark.
Yeah, he is.
That's a late hit.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, it just is. One more thing, because I want to address this, because that same burner account that remains nameless because he won't call in or identify himself, which is fine. But this Brian Ferentz, wannabe, I guess, he sent me one of the things that he said, well, I don't know how to call in because this video proves it. It doesn't. I'm going to show you an example of Daniel Jackson at Minnesota with a toe tap that was deemed legal. But I want you to see exactly why it's different. It's a different situation than what we witnessed over the weekend. And this is, you're going to watch this the first time and be like, wait a minute. This does prove that a guy can slide his foot in bounds with the toe and it can slide out of bounds and it's deemed a catch. But there is a small difference here. And this is my guess as to why the officials ruled this complete. So first of all, they ruled it on the field as a touchdown. All right. That's part of it. But they'll show the replay on this Daniel Jackson touchdown. And what do you see, Mark, that's different about what happened with Jackson as opposed to what happened with Weegan? There goes the foot. Sliding inbounds, 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 inbounds. Now it's out of bounds. What's different? I'm going to tell you in a second, but I want you to figure it out.
No, that wouldn't explain it. I was going to say he never landed his foot completely down. He dragged it all the way out of bounds. He continued to drag that foot until he fell down.
No, this is what I believe is likely the difference. Again, we can't get an explanation directly from the officials, but based on the language of the rule, here's what my guess is as to why this was deemed complete. Notice it would be his left foot is what drags. It's in. I'm going to go real slow here. It's in, it's in, it's in. Gets closer, but notice the other foot.
Yeah. Oh, once it lands, the play's over?
Yes.
Okay.
What happened to why is this not letting me right in the middle of this? Why am I not getting to apparently YouTube wants to, there we go. See, it's very close and it appears that the right foot right there steps out as the left foot is still in.
Yeah, the play's over. Okay.
The play's over. These are fascinating scenarios, and it sucks for Iowa, but I'd love to get an actual rules expert on here because, yeah, that's what happened. And I believe we had a rules expert with the Kamari Moulton. It might have been, who's the guy for Fox that's real good? Was it Blandino? It wasn't Blandino. It was the other one.
I don't remember their names.
Or whoever.
Sarator, yeah.
Yeah, I believe he explained that heel one in the same way, that the entire foot. But he did. This is obviously a different scenario.
Now, if he would have dropped the football simultaneously or just a split second after he landed that foot, you wonder if they would have still called that a catch.
You can't drop.
He would have just flat out dropped the ball.
Who? Weegan?
No, Jackson.
It dropped it out of bounds? Like,
At the point you determined that when he stepped with his right foot out of bounds, the play's over. He's completed the catch, and now it doesn't matter what he does with the left foot. If he just dropped the ball, you wonder if they would have come to that same determination.
the only thing that you said, the play is over when he steps out of bounds. You're right. The only difference is he still has to hold on to the ball. The only thing that matters as he continues out of bounds is control of the football.
It also may be what I first brought up, but what I detected was he never put his foot all the way flat on the ground. It continued to drag that entire time until it lifted. When he fell.
I don't know what that would do. It still went out of bounds, though. Daniel Jackson's foot still went out of bounds. And so it did not remain in bounds for the duration of the catch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I'm not a rules expert, but I'm just telling you, it's not as these people that act like it's just cut and dry. Oh, it was a catch. It wasn't a catch. But it's like, let's have dialogue. Let's have conversation. I'm glad we can do that, Mark.